I'd like to thank Goodman Coffee Roasters for being today's sponsor.
Welcome to Harvest to Pour, the business of beverages, with your host, Matthew Schiff. This is the podcast for all of those who are involved in the agriculture all the way to the distribution of beverages. And now your host, Matthew Schiff.
Hello and welcome to Harvest to Pour. I'm your host, Matthew Schiff, and today I am here with Chris Morris, the founder of Peacemaker Coffee in Toledo, Ohio. Now, Peacemaker Coffee is more than just a coffee company. They are a community that proudly supports veterans and first responders, striving to give back to those who serve us. Welcome today, Chris. It's great to have you here.
Appreciate it, Matt. Happy to be here.
So let us know a little bit about Peacemaker, how this came to be. What was your passion behind it? What pushed you to open up this coffee shop?
So I started it back in 2019 after spending 20 years being a police officer. I recently retired not recently, but in January of 21. So a couple of years back. And the whole principle behind it was to proudly support unsung heroes like the police, fire, military, EMS, dispatchers, teachers, personnel, medical personnel, and veterans. And because, it was a rough time, defund the police and different things. And I love our military, and our military gets a lot of kudos. But at the same time, the folks that protect us on the home front, just don't get justice, or get put out there. We get beat up more than we get praise. So that's premise behind it, but also to roast great coffee, high quality. And we have various coffee blends, single origins, and about 17 different options and flavors.
Okay. So why coffee? Coming from into this, what was, you have some background or roots in coffee, or you just really like coffee?
Hated coffee. Absolutely hated it.
Perfect.
Did not like coffee.
I got to hear this. All right.
So my grandmother and my aunt used to make us, when I was a child, eat all brand cereal. And they would, which is bad to begin with when you're a child, because you want to eat something sugary. And then on top of that, they would take instant Taster's Choice and make it with cremate, let it cool, and that was your milk for your coffee. Disgusting. So yeah. I hated coffee. Well, I just happened to take a trip to Costa Rica and took a tour, of a coffee farm. And at the end of the tour, started sampling stuff. The only issue is, and that's where my love of coffee really happened. And that was probably about 15, 20 years ago. The only issue with it was that it was very acidic. So the passion behind and the inspiration of starting Peacemaker Coffee and most of the folks that we tailor to is a low acidity coffee, ethically sourced, and to support for first responders.
Okay.
So we tend to stay, that nutty, chocolatey, but we tend to stay, we look for Brazilians, obviously, Guatemalan, Colombians, Ugandas, but we try to stay away from Costa Ricans and some Kenyas and stuff like that. Anything that's really fruity, just like, our fruits, tomatoes and high in acid, orange juice, just high in acid. And sometimes it just doesn't agree with folks' stomach.
So, yeah, I had a Costa Rica taste just like strawberries, so I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really, and that's most of our customer base is a low acidity, good quality coffee.
Great.
And smooth. It's got to be smooth.
Smooth. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So once you decided to say, I want to start a coffee company, you didn't start straight into roasting. You were looking for roasters. And how'd you go about, finding those milestones that you needed to start in? Let me rephrase that. What are the milestones that happened between starting this business and achieving success? And what brought you to, where'd you get started into this?
That's the funny part. So I started buying coffee on like Amazon and trying different types. And I had this kind of hilarious story. So I saw a YouTube video where people were using popcorn makers, or they were using a Ron Popeil rotisserie ovens. And that's really, I started roasting coffee in a peanut basket.
So I went green coffee. Okay.
Buying green coffee and going straight to roasting in these crazy mechanisms. then to a rotisserie, on a grill, to then buying. I was at the time I was working for a police agency up in Washington, and I was the acting chief of police,
Mhm.
and I found a company that wasn't too far up the road called Soto Fresco. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they actually make an air roaster, a really good air roaster,
Hmm.
and the factory was right there. And so I went up there, and they pretty much showed me the roaster and everything else. And I bought one, I bought two, and that's how I started in my garage
Okay. Yep. Everything started garage.
roasting coffee.
This is going to turn into a business. And what were some of the challenges you faced?
I never thought it was. I was just doing it as, on
Okay.
a whim and for my personal use. And then I started sharing it with the police department, started sharing it with the fire department. It was in the city. And everybody's like, hey man, this is really good. I had no clue what I was doing. That's the best part of the story.
All right.
Started watching YouTube videos, and then I ended up taking a week-long class, which was a real eye-opener for me at the Dietrich Coffee Roasters was just on the other side of Washington. And I took a week-long class, and it was one of the best things I ever did, and talked about the origins and how to roast, and that's what really got me fired up and intrigued. But again, it was from the folks around me that was really pushing me, saying, hey, we don't know what you're doing differently, but it's really good. And again, you could roast, I could roast, somebody else could roast, and we all roast the exact same bean. But, where that curve and how you do it, I mean, it's the same bean, but it just has a different cup to it.
So when did you discover that, hey, I have a business here?
Here was my major challenges. My major challenges obviously was sourcing, pricing. Those were kind of a challenge because of the fact that every time you would turn around, you would have to charge exactly what everybody else was. And that was between $15 and $20 a bag. And consumers shop primarily. I mean, yes, you get folks want a filet mignon for a hamburger price. And so you have to be able to compete in the market. And it was so hard, with bags, and everybody wanted you to buy high quantity versus, minimum and small quantities. So to get your price low to be able to compete in the market, I never really thought that it would blow up as big as it has.
Mm-hmm.
But it has. And
And now
and I got a business.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, one of the craziest stories was everybody said, hey, listen, I went on, and it's like, all right, what kind of logo do I want? What kind of, and I had some different designers send me some different logos. And we finally decided, I really liked the Punisher logo, but obviously it was copywritten by Marvel and you couldn't use it. And the military at the time was actually getting sued over it because Marvel was suing, yes, the U.S. military and police agencies because they were putting that logo on their rifles.
I see.
And because it was a trademark. And so everybody said, hey, listen, once you need a trademark. The day after I got my trademark, I got sued.
Oh,
The day after.
All right.
You
That's usually
can
the mark of
actually go
success, actually.
You can go to the U.S. Trademark Patent Office, type in Peacemaker Coffee Company, and look down, and you'll see the day after, I had my trademark, I got sued by a company out in Minnesota that said that my logo can confuse. Basically, they were trying to steal my brand, and they were saying that my brand and their brand, I can confuse the market, but their logo is a turtle and my logo is, oh yeah, a skull with the American flag and two revolvers. Don't know how that works. But finally, after attorneys and all this other things, then it all they ended up dropping their suit and everything else. But yeah, they were trying to steal me right off the bat.
Wow. Well, as they say, if you've been sued or put on trial with your business at least once or twice, you're actually doing something right. So I think you're on the right track here. So I want to go into a little bit of our Harvest to Pour journey. So now you have this business. Now you're on the hook for creating these processes to get your goods out in a timely manner and make a profit. So when I talk about the Harvest to Pour journey, harvest is where you're sourcing your raw ingredients, how you're making Peacemaker Coffee uniquely Peacemaker Coffee from everybody else. There's tons of craft roasters and general roasters, but Peacemaker Coffee is unique. Then we get into the pours, how you market this, how you advertise this, how you get people to come back for more. So let's start with the harvest. So you mentioned you're going after some Brazilians and you're going after the less acidic coffees. Take us through your sourcing journey and on what you're looking for now in your coffees.
So that was a challenge. As I said, I started with some different companies. Like there's a great one out there called Genuine Origin that has really grown in leaps and bounds. They were primarily just on the East Coast. Now I think they got a place in Florida, Texas, and then they're on the West Coast as well. There was another company that we were sourcing from, and of course, Sono Fresco is a large. They sell a lot of bean products as well. But the challenge again, I ended up getting in touch with a lot of brokers, and then started because the market fluctuates so much, and so I started using brokers on the West Coast and East Coast to try to obviously buy, sell high, buy low. Same thing as it's like stock market, and that has become a challenge as well because I guess here in the last few months prices have come back down, but from where we were, I mean, you're talking 40-70% increases. So what you want to be able to source enough coffee that we like to sustain, so we don't have to move our prices, where a lot of other coffee outlets, even some of the big chains are jacking their prices up and and the customer's paying for it. So sourcing and pricing is a huge thing for us. We want to be able to, give a great value product, but at the same time, we want to give the customer a lot of options. I mean, one of the things is that for instance, on our flavorings, I mean, flavorings have taken off. People want flavored coffee, but they think it's, you're going to get a milkshake out of it. I mean, yeah, it's a subtle flavor, but one of the things that we do in the flavoring process is that we don't buy a pre-mixed flavor. And that makes us a little unique and different as well. There's different houses. There's a real big one in Florida that most people buy pre-mixed flavors. So if they want Jamaican Me Crazy, which is a big one that is out there. If you look, you can buy it on Amazon and everywhere else. And it's basically a caramel, vanilla, and Kahlua.
Okay.
But it's all pre-mixed. Mm-hmm. And there's no alcohol, no sugars or anything like that. And some do have some sugars in it. We kind of stick away from that. We go with extracts. We don't buy pre-mix. So we develop every single flavor profile ourselves. So, hey, if you say, this needs more banana, the team will sit down and we taste and we do a lot of cuppings and so forth. But if you say, hey, this needs more banana, I don't taste banana, or we're making a chocolate mint, I don't taste the mint. That's the luxury of mixing it yourself and doing the process yourself, because you can add more mint, you can add more chocolate, and whereas when you get a premix, that's what it is, and that's what you're offering.
Okay.
So, and the other thing, and we always do it with a medium roast coffee. And the other thing is that, there's times we add cinnamon and so forth like that. But one of the things we pride ourselves on is that all of our flavored coffee has no alcohol, no sugar, and is nut free, because we want to be able to, and we found in the very beginning, we were using premixes that we have a lot of folks that are diabetics and it was spiking their sugars. And so that was the feedback that we got back from our customers. I mean, we're huge in listening to our customers. I mean, they're our greatest asset to us. And I tell people all the time, and I send emails, follow-ups to folks and to our vendors and say, hey, listen, if please tell me, good or bad, that's the only way it's going to make us better. So tell me the bad. If you don't like something, tell me.
So I'm kind of curious. I've never actually asked this question. The flavorings for coffee now, are the flavorings added post roast? Is it just tossed in, or is it a sticky? What's that process look like?
So the best there's several different methods. The process we use is we'll roast the beans. We'll drop the temperature to say 125 degrees, so they're still warm. Mm-hmm. And we found a couple different methods that work better than the other. And this is one of the ones, and roasters cringe when I tell them this, because I talked to a few different local ones, and it's not the way they do it. But so we cool the beans to probably about 125 or so degrees. We know, hey, we're doing 30 pounds here or 33 pounds. We know exactly what our mix and our ratio is. And we blend it actually right inside the cooling tray. And we have found with it being warm, it absorbs the bean, the pores are open, and it really absorbs the flavoring.
Interesting. Okay.
And then from there, so, you're going through the cooling, the mixing process. From there, then you're going to put it, we put them in food safe, basically large containers, buckets, and it's basically degassed with a nitrous. And then we let it sit for 24, 48, sometimes 48 hours, 72 hours. And so it really takes on that profile and really absorbs the flavoring. Now, this is the part of the process that a lot of folks fall short on. Your grinder. So you lose a lot of flavoring when you grind. So when people want whole bean and they're going to grind at home, it all depends on what the grinder is. Grinders heat up very quickly. And so what it does is it dissipates that flavoring quick. So you have to find, and there's a company out of Chicago, and you have to buy, if you want to do it and do it right, there's a company out of Chicago, and off the top of my head, I can't recall the name of it, but the grinder's approximately $10,000-$15,000 because it's water cooled. So it's a grinder, it's a large commercial burr grinder, but it's water cooled. So then that way your beans don't get over, say, at resting temp, the bean might be 66 degrees. It might not get over 80. Whereas a traditional grocery store bun or even some of the large names coffee grinders, we probably tested 15 of them. And I'm talking from ranges of $1,000 to $1,200 coffee to, what you use in a coffee shop to a $3,000 coffee grinder. And when you take a heat gun, like you would use it for a grill, and you hold it there and you watch the grinds come out, when you're grinding, it heats up really quick, and you'll get up to 110, 120, 115 degrees, which is amazing as the burrs heat up.
So basically it's almost like you're burning off esters, and you're going to smell more of it than you're going to taste of it if you're using a regular burr grinder. And 100%. So in this case, this is the one case definitely where it's probably you're better off to get pre-ground if it's flavored than if it's whole bean. Or is that something?
Well, the thing is that you get some people would prefer whole bean, and they want to do, they want to go, a French press or something like that. And that's just their preference. Are they going to lose? Yeah, they're probably going to lose flavoring, but the flavoring is very subtle anyway.
Yeah.
People think they're going to drink and it's going to taste like, drinking a milkshake, some of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You're getting a milkshake with a shot of coffee, but it's not really. It's really it's actually a coffee with a little shot of milkshake. So
100%, and we want that subtleness in there, but at the same time, we want you to taste coffee.
Absolutely. All right. So that's a great example of how you make it yours with the flavorings and who you're sourcing with, because you're doing that low acidity, and that's kind of another one of your flagships around the product you provide. We're getting to pour. So how do you market yourself? Let people know who you are, where you are, and what you're selling, and how do you keep them coming back?
So that's been an interesting ride as well. So I went out and I started finding influencers and, that on the web and so forth. I mean, send them free product, let them try it, let them give you the feedback. The feedback is, again, it's such a value added to your brand, and they'll post. And so that in the community, the word of mouth, like, we've picked up, for instance, trying to find my notes. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Give me a second. You'll have to edit that one.
He'll have some fun. So you use influencers, and that feedback is really valuable because that's almost like a customer saying, "Hey, this is great. You should try it."
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I wrote a bunch of stuff on it too. That's what I was trying to find for you.
So, and that's, well, Influencers is one of the places you started. And then I think earlier we were talking about some of your labeling and the where you're putting your marketing on your product as well. How is pushing that forward?
Mostly influencers and customer base. And again, a lot of it has to do with, and I wrote some really good stuff on it. Oh, here's the other thing too. One of the things that we try to do, and what our team is really good at, I would say, is efficiency. Efficiency for sure. We always tell everybody 72-hour turnaround whenever you place an order, but 90% of the time, orders are completed and shipped the same day, which is huge with customer, and that's a huge feedback that we receive from them.
Okay, so customer service definitely plays into the marketing.
That's huge. That's a huge key. Huge key.
Okay. And is there anything else, just kind of any traditional ways that people come back? Is it a lot of word of mouth? I know you've been branching out some, so we talked about some of your K-cups and such and how that's been a new idea.
Well, we do a lot of, we don't even have any salespeople, but the interesting thing about it is that we started writing monthly blogs too. And we get a lot of movement from the blogs. And that's been a really huge success for us. And sometimes when we don't write a blog or we're a day late, we'll get emails. Hey, are you guys going to publish a blog this month? About something about, why K-cups explode and what's the reasoning behind them, or how to use a French press, what's the proper grind, what's the proper, so we get a lot of questions like that. I would branch off some of the different, the challenges and, and opportunities for marketing, obviously, as we talked about earlier about the flavor trend that's a big takeoff. But here's the thing, and I drive my team absolutely nuts with this. I'm a huge process improvement person. So if the team says, there's a better way, I love to take on a challenge, or somebody finds something. One of the things I live by, once a process is fixed, the potential for growth and success becomes limitless. And I truly believe that. And you'll see return on ROI, return on investment, you'll see efficiency increase, happy employee involvement, because you're getting their buy-in in the process.
Absolutely.
So, and that's something I use in my police career, which we call RCA, root cause of analysis, and have you ever heard of the 5 why technique?
No, what is that?
No, it's a simple but powerful tool in root cause of analysis. It involves asking why 5 times. And if need more.
Yes. I've heard that. Yeah, I would say on the 6th duck, because most people are sick of that. So yes,
that's
okay.
That's used in police investigations too, who, what, when, where, why, how, and you keep saying why, why did they do this?
Yes,
and trying to figure it out. So like I said, I'm a huge process improvement. If something's broken, we're not being efficient enough, time is money.
And now a word from our sponsors. Hey, do you have that friend where when you're excited about a new coffee shop you've discovered and you take them there and you're excited for them to try the coffee and they take a sip of it and look at you and go, it's just coffee? Well, I think I've discovered a coffee shop that'll definitely change their mind on what coffee is. Goodman Coffee Roasters honors coffee's rich heritage by partnering directly with farmers, ensuring every sip tells a story of dedication and craftsmanship. From hand-picked beans to perfectly roasted batches, they bring coffee that's more than just a drink. It's a journey. Integrity, sustainability, and uncompromising quality are in every cup. Coffee lovers can experience the Goodman Coffee difference at goodmancoffeeroasters.com. And trust me, your friend will take a sip of this coffee and finally understand what it means to have something that's more than just coffee. Hey, are you spinning your wheels trying to figure out what will really boost your business's bottom line? At Emberry Solutions, our Profit Priority Workshop is here to cut through the noise. We help you zero in on what truly matters, aligning your team, optimizing your processes, and magnifying your profits. Imagine your business running smoother than ever, with every decision and effort leading straight to increased profits. That's what focusing on the right priorities can do. Ready to boost your efficiency and profits? Visit Emberry Solutions and let's start making your business work smarter. At Ember Solutions, we take your business from bottlenecks to breakthroughs. So
So
this is a great segue into one of my questions is, how do you use your team when deciding what to do next? So how do you approach this? Do you approach it with an idea you come forward with, or is it more of an open, hey, you know, what are you guys thinking our next challenge would be?
well, there's been we get so many products. So I'll give you we're at 100, I think 150, 160 retail now, and we code pack for about 60 other brands. So we're always working on projects. I mean, we're working on a project now that we're getting ready to release, neurotropic coffee. Have you heard of that? And
Mm-mm.
it's basically, yeah, you get your bodybuilders and so forth, and you're adding natural products like you can buy supplements over the counter like L-arginine, and you put cinnamon, which is and different things like that. It's mood enhancers and
Mhm.
I mean, I got approached by a company who wanted to ask me if I could figure out how to infuse CBD oil with coffee. I mean, we get a lot of projects like
Mhm.
that. And like the project I was talking to you earlier, with we have a company that we're working with that wants to do a different take in the market on coffee.
Okay.
And so we're helping develop that, and it's been a process. So
So when you have companies approaching you with different ideas, you have your own internal ideas. What do you consider before expanding that next product offering? And since you do work with your team, go ahead and include how you work with your team when you're deciding. Like we've got projects from outside sources, we have our own ideas. How do you prioritize those?
we we kind of we that's that's the challenging part.
That's what I like to hear. All right.
Yeah, that's the super challenging part. I mean, everybody comes up with fantastic ideas, and again, you want the buy-in from the team. And so folks will come and say, "Hey, have you ever thought about what about if we kind of pivot and do something like this or do something
Mhm.
like that?" And you know, we've been approached with so many different things. Even with the team, they came up with some ideas on coffee. Like for instance, we do a bourbon pecan, and we had another company come to us and talked about partnering and doing something with the bourbon, actually with the bourbon pecan coffee. And so
You get crossed.
I've had people say, "Hey, let's take alcohol and non-alcoholic beer and do something with coffee."
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's in the market yet or not, but I mean, just all kinds of different
Yeah, the other way
ideas.
usually is a coffee stout, but you usually don't hear about a stout coffee. So anyway, yeah. All right. So so you do yeah, that is a challenge about picking those priorities and choosing those pieces. And so it looks like you've moved forward with some. So this is a great thing to ask, where do you want to take the business next? Because you've got a lot of moving parts here to it. What is your future goal for Peacemaker?
I would say there's it's a challenge. I mean, right now we're looking for partners and investors. We need to get larger machines. We need to increase production. We have a lot of projects that we have to turn down because we just I mean, I've got a staff of 10, and in warehousing, commercial space is expensive, and so we're the next step, I think, is growth for us, and we truly want to grow. So again, looking for investors, looking for partners, looking to, grow bigger machines, increase production, eventually a sales team is what we're looking towards. I mean, we had a company come to us that makes 88 million K cups a year and wanted us to produce 5 million,
Can you do
and
that
it'd
yet?
be an ongoing. Well, we could,
Uh-huh.
but the issue comes with that. We can produce about 3,000 K cups an hour, and so yes, we can. But the only thing is the machine would have to run 24 hours a day, and it's a machine. Machines break down, you know. So you have to run, extra shifts and so forth, and it's just not efficient enough.
Okay.
So
So next thing I was kind of curious about is your business was really started about supporting a community, this particular community of first responders and police officers. Where do you want to take the impact you've had towards this community in the future?
So, so this has been a huge challenge for us. And the reason I'm saying that is we probably receive about 55 legitimate, as I say, emails monthly for donations and we try to accommodate as many as we can.
Mhm.
And some requests are just not doable. Like we'll have requests, hey, we want you to donate, 5,000 pounds of, coffee
Mhm.
that's roasted coffee. I mean, that's a challenge, and
Yeah.
that's a huge cost. Yeah, we're just not there yet, but that's a large ask. The vetting process is really really tough. I mean, again, we get 55 legitimate that are, but the again vetting process is tough, but it's amazing how many requests received that are not truly businesses or
Hmm.
donations that are 501c companies. You get, Susie will send us an email and say, hey, we're a coffee company, out in the middle of nowhere. And next thing you know, you Google the address and it's it's a trailer sitting in a trailer park somewhere that just wants to have you send them free coffee.
Wow. Oh, geez. Okay.
Asking, but misusing and for a legitimate charity
Mhm.
that's, they want you to donate for. It's so sad that we live in this world like that, but unfortunately you
Okay.
have folks like that. So, but most of our donations are that we receive and that we fill are everything. We send coffee. You can look on our Instagram. We send coffee over to the military because they get really bad coffee. So they'll send us photos back where they're holding them up, and we send them to correction agencies and police departments to raise money for canines, fire departments. Matter of fact, we just sent one out today to an agency in Pennsylvania that's trying to raise money, and they do an annual thing to get a canine because they just don't have the funding.
Okay.
So we do a lot of things like that in churches and hospitals, and so there's a lot of different directions that we go, and we like to give back. If we go and do an event in the city, we always take extra coffee and and the police department and fire. And the amazing part about that is we'll give it to the police department, the fire department, the sheriff's department, you know,
Mhm.
and then they become subscribers. We have a subscription plan. And so they end up subscribing.
That's some great marketing right there. You left that piece out. That's great. No,
Ah,
that's
sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, we're gonna tie that back in. That is maybe, and some people don't really realize what they're doing is great marketing. They're just like, I'm being generous and I'm being of service, and that's exactly what you're doing. But by being of service, you are creating a community of consumers and buyers that are also now loyal to your company.
And here's the thing too. I mean, we're a co-packer. I mean, so
Mhm.
and that's the interesting thing how this whole started. It started because I wanted to roast great coffee and I started as a coffee company and we still are. But at the same time, because sourcing was so expensive, you couldn't the minimums were off the change that just wasn't realistic for a small
Mhm.
business. So now we provide that. So companies will come to us. So you're a local coffee roaster. You come to me and say, hey, Chris, I want to do a private label. And we say,
Mhm.
great. And it's low cost to you. So you're making money. Either K cups, huge market. They're not going away anytime soon. I mean, the K cups are made out of a polypurylene, I think is how you say it. So they're
Mhm.
recyclable. Everything part of it is recyclable. And there's some companies out there that are working on some new things, but again, they're going to be expensive options.
Mhm.
So the K cups. So I tell all my coffee shops, one day I was sitting there and I'm standing in the aisle at the grocery store and I'm looking at all the bulk coffee. And you walk in the store, you see all the bulk coffee, you see the bag, and you
Mhm.
can fill the bag up, and then you can go over and you can grind the coffee. Well,
Mhm.
wait a second here. But if I want a K cup because I'm the only one in the house that drinks it, and nobody else, your wife, your spouse, whoever else doesn't drink coffee in the house, and that person only drinks one cup of coffee, are they going to make a whole pot for the day? No. So the K cup is convenient for them. Or if somebody needs something quick in the morning or at work. K-cups are convenient. K-cups really blew up right as COVID was happening because you couldn't use the community coffee pot. But it hasn't, it continues to build and build and build. So the K-cup is huge for, coffee shops. So I sat back one day looking at this bulk coffee thing, and I sent out a text message to all of my people that buy from us, coffee companies, and we do private label for. And I said, hey, why don't you, if you have room in your store, and I did a mock-up and took a picture of it, sent it to everybody and said, hey, why don't you do a coffee bar? The same premise as your bulk coffee. So basically have 15, 20 bins of different coffee pods. And if you want to walk in and buy one of each coffee pod, you can try every single one of them or just buy one single pod. Because really, when you walk down the aisle of the grocery store, you're locked into 10 or 12 count cup. You may or may not like it. So why not get to taste, try before you buy?
Yes.
is always our method. So we really got into, we started doing that. And then here's the other thing that we kind of pivoted as well was, if you look at our K-cups and you look on our website, we don't put Peacemaker Coffee on the K-cup lid. So we put mint chocolate, we put bourbon pecan, because you as the vendor or your small coffee shop or business, you can use our product as your own. Call it whatever you want.
I think the usability is really nice too, because you know exactly what it is, and you don't have to worry about looking around the label to find out what it is.
Or you don't have to, because in the beginning we used to print and stick labels on the side.
Oh wow!
But now we also offer printing, so we can print the lids too.
Mm-hmm.
So we can really customize them, and the world is so wide open, because you think about who uses the coffee and who the marketing to. You could market to real estate offices, you could market to doctors' offices. You're sitting, at the car dealership, and you're the car dealership, and people are sitting there waiting on their BMW. Well, why not have the BMW dealership? It's their own private label coffee.
No, that's great. Great idea.
So there's so many. So we kind of, and we pivoted that way because there was nothing that we saw that cared about the small guy or the guy starting out of his garage that doesn't have the money or whatever. So we offer low minimums, and all of our products can be private label. You can sell our product, and then you can also branch out and call anything you want and make it your brand and your own.
All right, that's great. Love that niche. Then you found that individual that really needs that. That is great. This actually is a great segue into since you're really close to this, like, so the community, this very much entrepreneurial minded of finding different needs. If you are an entrepreneur and you all of a sudden find yourself with, hey, I think I have a business here, what is your best advice for them?
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Matt.
Did you not hear me?
Oh, what'd you say? Sorry, you broke up there.
Oh, okay. So I was just saying, you're very close to the community as far as donations and helping the community out, and also just from the entrepreneur point of view of finding all these particular niches that need help, and you're seeing how to fill them. If you end up finding yourself as an entrepreneur with all of a sudden, hey, I think I have a business here about app, or what is your advice for them as they grow this business?
So my advice, if you're starting a beverage business, it can be exciting, it can be rewarding, but it comes with challenges and frustrations. It won't happen overnight. A lot of folks think, well, if this is not working or that's not working. I can't tell you how many times I've walked in a door and have been told no by a grocery store over and over and over. You just can't get discouraged. You have to be positive. And research, here would be my tips on it is research and understand the market or whatever you want to do. Lean on a company like us to guide you. We can help guide you and, develop value, offer something unique, innovative flavors, a health benefits, and everybody loves a compelling brand story. Create a solid business plan, focus on quality, understand regulatory requirements. That was one of the things that I didn't understand, because it's so confusing to navigate through. It's ridiculous. So when we started and we went in from from being, exempt as a home business or a home-based business. And we went in and now we're in a commercial facility and everything else. Well, hey, go file. You got to file with your local. So you need your local fire inspection. You need your local, you got to pay local taxes on revenues and on your employee taxes. And of course, your workman's comp and all those other things that come in. But then FDA says, Food and Drug Administration says, hey, as a coffee company or as a coffee business, you got your Department of Health and so forth, your local Department of Health, you got your state, and now you need to register with us. Well, then you got Department of Agriculture, which visits us about every 3 months. And they say, well, FDA, and it's just so confusing because it's again, agencies just pushing the buck back and forth, and you just don't know direction. And so the biggest thing is understand regulatory requirements in your area, develop strong brand. I would say build a network, connect with industry professionals, suppliers, distributors, potential customers. Networking is valuable insight with, based on partnerships and opportunities for growth. Start small, scale gradually, just like we have. Leverage the market we talked about earlier in social media. Develop a strong online presence, utilize digital marketing strategies, to reach your target audience. Social media influencers have been a massive help for us in building those partnerships. Content marketing can help, brand awareness and drive sales. Prepare for challenges. I mean, the beverage industry is so unpredictable. But prepare for challenges and adapt to the market changing conditions. Gather customer feedback. This is just a massive one for us because who's going to buy your product? Who's going to make you successful as your customers? So one of the things for us is, and I can stress more than anything is listen to your customers. They use Facebook. You can improve your products and business operations, engage with the audience, build a loyal following. Word of mouth is we all know is just a huge marketing. So, and my final one, again, listen to your customer, build loyalty, trust, word of mouth, and commit to your vision.
Well, this is a great little case study for somebody starting off. I really appreciate all your points there, and you had those really well prepared. I think anybody listening that hears this really take what he's saying, because the one thing I've noticed through all my interviews is the ones that really focus on customer and listen to their customers closer are the most successful companies I've talked to. All right, so I got a couple more questions here, and this one's always a fun one. What is in your company your favorite beverage? And when you're just out in the town, what is your favorite beverage? It doesn't have to be coffee.
I'm a sucker for Monsters, man, which is probably not good, but
Okay. Wow. All right.
I start off, my day starts off 7 days a week. It has been the same way for the last few years since I retired, since 21. I wake up at 3 a.m. And that's the other thing, starting this business is that, it never stops. And the thing of it is you're only going to be successful as your drive. And I wake up at 3 a.m. and I start, if it's billing, printing out invoices, sending them over to our office so that way the orders could be filled, answering emails, doing all that stuff at 3:30 in the morning, and drinking a pot of coffee in the meantime while I'm doing that. Once I complete that, then I'm on my Monsters. But it's a grind 7 days a week. Start at 3 a.m. I end at probably about 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. And my kids pick on me because they say I turn into a pumpkin about 7, 8 o'clock.
So. I can see that. That's a lot. That's a lot of pushing. So do you have a favorite particular product in your product line?
It's funny because I get picked on for this, but I have to try. I'm not a flavor guy at all. And I think some of the crazy requests that we get, like the latest two that we did a hazelnut, and I'm just not. It's a hazelnut with chocolate and a dark chocolate, and I think caramel. So, and another one's a peanut butter cup. call me weird. I don't like Reese's peanut butter cups. I like chocolate. I can eat a chocolate bar. I can eat a jar of peanut butter. You put them together, Chris doesn't
Not
like
the
them.
thing.
Yeah, it's just not my
Okay.
thing. But the thing of it is that we did a peanut butter cup, and it seems to be everybody loves it, and you have the
Yeah.
vanilla. So those are the three newest ones we just come out in the last
Mhm.
couple weeks, and they're huge. But these are things in the feedback we get from customers. Hey, have you ever tried this? Have you ever tried
Mhm.
that? And so we try to develop it. And here's the interesting piece that we do. We contact that customer back and we say, hey, will you test taste this for us?
That's great.
The other thing I've done is I found this really cool book club that's in Virginia. And it's a bunch of ladies that get together every Tuesday night, Tuesday or Wednesday night, I can't recall. And
Mhm.
we send them our bags of coffee that we're test marketing. And it's 10, 12 women sit around and they're black coffee drinkers, which is who we love
Yeah.
because that's what you want. Because everybody
Mhm.
puts so much cream and stuff in it
Mhm.
and sugar and sweeteners and so forth. So we send it to them and they test taste for us and they give us back some of the most amazing feedback. Hey, I can't taste this, can't taste that. We revamp it. We send them another bag. They have it by next week.
That is
And
awesome.
so, yeah. And so, but I hate flavored coffees
Uh-huh.
and I'm a straight, French press guy, dark roast, French press.
Yeah.
That's just me. But unfortunately, I have to taste them all.
Yeah. So do you have one that's just like non-flavored, your kind of favorite origin coffee then? A medium roast, a dark roast, if you had to
I
pick?
love my I love myself a Brazilian. Matter of fact, my newest favorite is a gentleman junior that you had on. I've got a couple of his lots. He sent me some samples of a lot 43 and a lot 30 that he had. And we tried them and I was like, it was perfect. It was exactly what we were looking for. I said, how
Mhm.
many you got? He goes, I've got 84 bags of this. I said, send them
Yeah.
all to me.
That's great. I love the support of
18 year old
small
he
coffee
just started.
farms.
Yeah. So I wish I could be with him in Brazil. He's in Brazil right now, and he's
Yeah.
ready to send me some coffee samples, and
Mhm.
so
All
from
right.
different farms.
So finally, do you have any events or upcoming promotions that you like to talk about? They can be ones that are coming up here in probably late August, or just ones that are evergreen. You always have.
You have to go to our website, and I believe the events are listed on there. We
Hmm.
do a really cool one, and I can't remember where it's at. It's a potato festival, and it's about 10, 15,000 people every year, and it's absolutely an incredible event, especially if you like potatoes. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
But we go to that every year, and we go to these events. Again, our theory and our marketing behind it is, hey, try it, they'll buy it. So what we do is we get double tents or 3 or 4 tents sometimes, and 300 square feet of Peacemaker Coffee, and we got massive flags outside that says free hot coffee. And you get a cold, chilly day, in August, September, they're seeing this thing from all the way down the street, and they're showing
Mhm.
up. And we give them little, we have a whole coffee bar set up with half and half and sugars and sweeteners and all that stuff. But they can try our medium Second Amendment. They can try our veteran dark roast, or we also, whatever the season is, we'll offer one of our flavors. And then they'll have the coffee pod bar there and they can buy, but there's no obligation. Come in, drink some coffee. People, it'll be so cold sometimes they'll get a cup in each hand just as hand warmers.
Keep the hand
You
warmers.
know?
Nice.
Yeah. But we tell them, hey, if you got a bigger cup, come fill it up.
Yeah.
And we gain so much traction, so much customer base from just that, just doing stuff like that and offering, we tell the police and fire that are working the event, hey, come down and drink as much as you can, bring the larger vessel and, and just the love and from the community has been outstanding.
All right. Well, Chris, this has been a really cool, informative conversation. I really appreciate your transparency, letting us look behind the beverage of your company and just how you've taken it, finding hey, I got a business here. People are liking what I'm doing. Let's turn it into something. Let's take this and support our first responders and our local police and fire and grow that. And then, unknowingly almost in some cases, you're growing this customer base, but you're doing it through service, and then also just bringing in that it's like, hey, where else can we go? What else can we serve? And you kind of have that same lean, let's serve the small guy that can't quite needs coffee, can't afford the goods, amazing stuff, but let's give him good coffee in a way that he can afford it, and even help it advertise for himself. Really looking for different ways of service. And I think the theme of this is the success of your company is through the service that you give. And I really appreciate the transparency and a look behind of Peacemaker Coffee. And this has been a great interview, and I thank you again for your time. And I hope people listen to this and really pick up and kind of look at their own company and say, hey, what can we do? How can we be of service?
We truly appreciate you, Matt, and what you do on this podcast with the Harvest Pour. And like I said, I mean, we're here if anybody needs help. Again, you're a startup, you want to start, you want to get in the coffee business, or you got something that's you already got going. You just don't have a direction, or you need a co-packer, or you need some direction. You want to get into K-Cups. I mean, and you can use our brand, our coffee, your brand, or you can send us your beans and we'll make your cups for you. So there's so many different options. There are so many different things that we can help with.
All right. Well, Chris, thanks again for your time, and we'll talk soon.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Matt.
Right.
Thank you for listening to Harvest to Pour, the business of beverages with Matthew Shep. Check the show notes for our guest contact information and connect with Matthew Shep on LinkedIn today.